Welcome to this panel conversation about tips for conflict resolution with a teen. I'm Jarena. I have a preteen, so I won't be part of, I'll be a little bit a part of the conversation, but I have my own experience with my preteen, which has given me a good little telescope into the future.
And my name is Takrisha Rana. I am a mom to a 9-year-old and a sister mom to a 17-year-old. And this work has been tremendous in navigating that life.
I'm Sophia Kim, and I have a daughter who is 15 years old, and we navigate all of this together.
I am Michelle Coleman, and I have 4 children, one birth child, a sibling group of 2 that I adopted. I had them in foster care, and then 4 years after I returned them to their mother, I adopted them. And in my mid-50s, I'm sorry, I must have had an odd moment because I adopted a preteen. So yes, I have experience with 4 teenagers, and I have learned something different from each of them.
So I'd just like to start off open-ended and see if anyone has any tips for the parents watching this particular panel.
I know for me, what I did when I had teenagers in the home and what I teach is, and it's one of the things that the parents reflected back when I did my research, and that is when my kid escalates, that's my cue to get calm. If I don't put the focus on myself when my kid starts to escalate, I'm going to join them there. And that's not going to be a pretty picture. That's not going to have a good outcome. And yet for me, I can't go to my heart initially. I can breathe, I can get heart centered, but the way that it comes out for me in my brain pathway is I go to humor first. And so I laugh. Thank you for letting me know. And then once I do that laugh, then I can get back to my connecting brain. But if I don't, I'm told it comes across as condescending. It's not genuine. It doesn't feel like it's coming from my heart. So yeah, I have to go to humor, go to my neocortex, and then I come back down. And now I can connect genuinely. And it has a different feeling.
And what I notice and what I've been sort of being more aware of is that I am really actually questioning, is there really a conflict? And where is it coming from? And what is it I'm really actually afraid of? And then having that conversation that I'm actually just scared of, you're 15 and when you're 16, I need to know I can trust you. And this is how we build trust, that we have agreements that you agree, that we are both going to follow through on, to just build in that connection and trust. And I find that to kind of soften kind of just the experience and not have it be a judgment of, because they're judging themselves so constantly and they have so much internal conflict already that me piling on because I'm incoherent helps no one to connect.
Yeah. That happened to me just the other day. I walked in, it was 9:30 at night, and my son is supposed to have like a 9 p.m. screen time off. And I walked in and he's on his phone. And I was like, okay, I was upset. Like, what is he doing on his phone? And why isn't, he knows this? And I could have easily gone there. But I just took a breath and I was like, and he looks at me and he's like, please don't get mad at me, Mom.
Aww.
That's the first thing. He's like, please don't. And this is exactly what you're talking about, Sophia, to layer on my like emotional response just makes him like shrink. And he knows, right? And I said, you know what, honey? I get it. It's so hard to turn off your screen. It's so hard. It's addictive. And we've talked about the addictive quality of the screen. And so what we ended up with was this beautiful conversation about screens and addiction and how we can, both work together to like help him get off his screen, and how can I remind you, and how can he take his own responsibility. And that would have never happened if I had gone in there and started screaming at him. And so I think that's crucial. Like, we have to understand. Well, I remember what that was like when my parents were mad at me. It was a terrible feeling. Do you guys, what do you do with attitude? Because I think that's an issue. And my son's just creeping into the teens, but he definitely started given the attitude. And how do you guys manage that?
I just believe it's a outer showing of something that's happening on the inside. So or like the deeper root thing. So I don't take it as to me. I don't take it personal. My daughter, I asked her to get something, and then we said we didn't need it, so she put it away, and then we said we did need it, and she was so frustrated, and she was like, "I can't get it," and we're like, "You just got it. Why can't you get it?" And she's like, "It's in the back now. It's too far," and she wasn't able to explain to me what she was trying to say. She just said it in her words as best as she could. But it was so much attitude, face, body, all of it. And I'm just like, and she huffed. And like I told you guys before, the way I grew up, that is not okay. But I knew she was frustrated about something. So once I went in the house, what she was trying to tell me is when she put it away, it went far back into the very top of the closet. So she couldn't just go grab it the way she did the first time. And she really needed help. But she didn't say, "Can you come in and help me get this thing for you now? Because I want to get it for you." She loves helping. But to know that she couldn't do it on her own really frustrated her. And so I was like, "Oh, this is what you're saying?" She was like, "Yeah, it was an accident. I didn't mean to put it all the way back there." And so all of that, and she just calmed right down. And so just looking for what's really going on, why, what's really happening always helps. Because it's never, I would have thought the way I was taught or raised or saw the stuff that I saw, that meant you were mad at me for asking you to help me. Mm-hmm. All of that attitude, all of the huffing. But that's not what was happening. It was literally, she couldn't get it and didn't know how to tell us for whatever reason. So that's what I practice.
And I think the attitude is, they're supposed to have attitude. They're teenagers. That's, they're supposed to be righteous. If they're that's how they're figuring things out. And when I'm in a centered, coherent space, I can just hold the space for it, let her have her experience, and not really take it on. And then when I'm not, boy, do I get hooked into it. And then it just goes sideways. Mm-hmm. And that's when, I'm like, oh, that was a bad mother moment. And then we just sort of talk about those moments afterwards, about what was going on when we're both in a better space. And my other thing is I have gotten into the practice of just asking her if she's available to have a conversation about something, because she may not be available. And then if you want to know how to increase attitude,
yeah, push on it, yeah.
And then I get it. I'm like, I'm not available always to have the conversation, and she may want to have a conversation about something, and I'm like, I'm not in the space to do that right now. Let's find another time.
Nice. And then do come back to it. I know with my son, if he would give me attitude, it's like you said, it's my younger self, and it's like you said also, Takesha, it's my child. If I were to talk to my parents like that, right? I have that flashback, I have that body memory, I'd be picking myself up off the floor, right? And so when he comes at me, once again, I laugh. Is that how kids are talking to their parents nowadays? But that helps me, as you said, get my issue out of the way, right? So now I can be the parent I want to be. After I say that, then I can get centered again and I can look at him and go, what's going on? Help me understand what just happened. What is it you're trying to tell me? And he can feel it. He can feel I want to connect in that moment, as opposed to you can't talk to me that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and where I've started to see it is with our younger son. And so my older son going into his, preteen teens will start to give the attitude to my younger son, and I see it ratcheting up. And then I see my younger son start to give my older son the attitude. And what we did is my husband and we sat down with our oldest, and we said it was we were all coherent. I made sure my oldest son was in a good space. Like you said, he was available, I was available, my partner is available. And we sat down and we said, your brother looks up to you and he adores you and he admires you. And, he's going to do what you do. Mm-hmm. We've noticed that you're starting to be more sharp with him. You're starting to be less kind with him. You're less patient with him. And we get it. But this is a long-term relationship that you have with your brother. And have you noticed that he's doing it back? Yeah, I've noticed. And so we encouraged him to notice how he's acting and notice the reaction that he's getting. And, within about a week, we were driving home from school one day and he said, I've been really trying with his younger brother. And it really makes a difference. I've noticed that he's nicer to me. He's listening to me more. He's kinder to me. And I was like, it does work, doesn't it? I think one of the worries that I sometimes have is that, if I see a particular pattern of behavior and my child is a particular age and I haven't been able to do the things that I wanted to do, I haven't been able to be the parent I wanted to be, is there a point in teenagehood where it's too late? Like where you feel like the horse has left the barn and you can't go back and redo things?
I'm going to speak to that from a young adult perspective. In that my youngest is 30. She turned 30 this year. And she did leave when she was a teenager. She packed her bags and walked out. And she had a lot of trauma from her birth experience with her birth mother, from her early life experience. And there was some things she could not take in when she was in high school. And it looked glamorous to go live with someone else. And so when you say, is there a chance for them to return? She and I talk a minimum of every day now, sometimes twice a day. We are so close, but it's because she was able to come back and to be open to healing. I was able to hear what came up for her. It was hard for her to be in a home with rules and curfew, and she couldn't do drugs. And, I wanted her to study for school, go figure. How could I be so unreasonable? And yet, and it was before she was 30. I mean, she came back in her 20s, her early 20s. So yeah, I would not be attached. I would continue all the things that we're saying, to love them, to do your personal work, to be available. I think that's the most important thing. There is so much pressure from their peer group to be a certain way, to do certain things. And we can't compete with that. We can give them love, we can give them safety, we can give them a place to return to. And for me, that was important. And it was actually her friends, she got suicidal. And it was actually her friend, her best friend, who called me and said, can she call you? I'm like, absolutely. And we reconnected and we were able to talk honestly and openly. And now we're the best of friends.
It's a couple points. Like you said, you start the work over here and have a place for them to come back to. And then for the parents to know that it's a process. It's an ongoing process. It's not going to be like, if it's far out there, they never talk to them. If it's a really bad situation on the outside, you start this, they watch this, just start. You start, and know that it's never too late. It's never just like so far gone that, just throw your hands up and give up. I just don't believe it. Especially if you're intentional with something like being heart coherent. That's like a huge, I'm taking power in this situation without trying to control the other person, without trying to manipulate or anything. You're just like, I'm taking control. And I'm taking like my power back. And I know that what I'm doing ultimately is going to, give me the benefits that I'm looking for, the results that I'm looking for. If nothing else, just some peace for yourself. Because I can imagine, you as a mom, your daughter is gone. Your child's gone. How, like, that's a immediate, peace stiller. But if you can use these techniques and just get some peace for yourself, so then when that call does come, or, for myself, I came later. I left at some point, but I wasn't a teenager. But just coming back to your parents and having those conversations, you can come back. They'll come back, and you'll be able to hear, hear where they're coming from. So you get some peace, you get some hope, and you just know that it's a process. And just be willing to go through the process.
I think whenever you start doing this kind of work and then want to apply it to your relationships, it feels really uncomfortable because that's just not how you're used to being and experiencing things. And it gets messy, and there's vulnerability in that. And then it's our own inner critics as parents that sometimes, tell us, that, we've messed it up. It's, it's too late. It's all of those things. And it's us learning to, not get hooked into those thoughts that are going to naturally just come up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always coming back to us, and those little thoughts that keep coming in.
But that's the good news, Dorina, that it always comes back to us. Because truly, how much control do you have over anyone else? I don't know about you. I've tried to control other people. I had zero success. The piece I would add is reframe conflict. Those are the times when I connect really deeply with my team. Those are the times when stuff is up. And if I can stay in it and get in it and all the things that we've said here today, we're going to be connected at a deeper level because the conflict didn't push me away. That's a moment where something really critical is coming forward that needs to be expressed and received. So, Decretia, you're talking about having a friend you can go to. We are that other person for our team. Can they bring it to us? Is there anything that's too big? And there should be nothing too big. In my growing up, I'd get in trouble if my great aunt mom, found out things that I did. But if I went to her ahead of time and said, I need to tell you something as a friend, I could tell her everything. And she did not punish me for it. If she found out on her own, okay, yeah, I'm getting grounded. But if I had gone to her ahead of time and taken her in, invited her into the situation, never, not one time. And so those times are critical for deep connection. We, the adult, create safety and let our kiddo know, let your teen know there isn't anything you can bring me that we can't handle together.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think if we can take that away, that these moments, the difficult moments with our children, are those moments for connection, those opportunities for connection. And if we can have parents come away with nothing else, I think that's a huge nugget. Those are great, great comments, all of them. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing more of you guys in the rest of our Heart Math for Parents course. Thanks, everyone.